Chelsea fans, welcome back to Talking Chelsea. Welcome back to your Chelsea news. Chelsea close in on a new front of shirt sponsor. The expectations for Enzo Maresca next season have been set. Chelsea players are expected a monstrous bonus after the Club World Cup win. We have an update regarding Morgan Rogers, and Jorrel Hato to Chelsea could be on. Now, of course, I'll be giving my own thoughts and opinions on everything that's been reported, but more importantly, I want to know what you guys think down below in the comments. And before we get into the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content. We're on the road to 10k by the end of 2025. Matt Law has reported that Enzo Maresca will not be under immediate pressure to deliver the Premier League title, and there is said to be recognition that Chelsea still have work to do to catch and overtake champions Liverpool, Man City and Arsenal. He goes on to report the expectation within Chelsea for next season will start with finishing in the top 4 again and consolidating Champions League qualification while demonstrating progress. Matt Law also reports that Chelsea believe they can build a dynasty within their current strategy that will give the club the best possible chance to become serial winners. Now, I really like this. This is very smart from the Chelsea board, the owners, and their plans, overarching plans. We spoke about it a lot in yesterday's video, right? I feel like it doesn't make sense to put immediate pressure onto Maresca to win the Premier League, to win the Champions League next season because of how we finished this season, right? Because if you look at this entire season, it's been a roller coaster. We started off very well. We got to December. We went through that blip for about, a month and a half, and we really tailed off. You could see that the young squad, the inconsistencies were showing through. And obviously Maresca had to adapt things and players had to come back into form. And then we finished the season strong to secure top 4, right? It wasn't as comfortable as a lot of us would have liked to have been looking at the whole season's performance prior to that and the results we could have picked up or should have picked up and didn't, right? And then obviously we go and win the Conference League, which is amazing for this young group of players to taste the success, to taste the winning, like just winning in general. They love it and they are clearly hooked on it, and it's completely transformed their mentality. And then 4 weeks later we go win the Club World Cup, which is an unbelievable achievement for this group of players. And the way that we played PSG, the way we schooled them, the way we bullied them throughout the game and beat them 3-0, keeping a clean sheet. Absolutely men versus boys that game. It shocked the world. I think it's fair to say that it shocked the world, Chelsea fans included. We were not expecting that. We just weren't expecting that. And it's such an incredible way to end this season. And you can see that the foundation's just set. You can see that the squad is settled. You can see what Maresca is implanting and embedded and what is starting to grow. It's becoming fruitful. We still need to water it and look after it, but it is growing at a very rapid rate. So I feel like it's fair to basically say, do the same again in terms of qualify for the Champions League. And then that doesn't mean top 4. It doesn't mean 4th. It means top 4 within that. Okay? Champions League, qualify for that and go as far as you can in this competition. Test the waters. A lot of these boys haven't played in the Champions League. Maybe a couple here and there. But as a squad, we haven't. It's going to be a brand new challenge for these group of lads. I still feel confident we can go relatively far in the Champions League. And then show progress. Show signs of progress. Compete on all fronts. Domestically, as well as European. Go far in the Carabao Cup. Go far in the FA Cup. Go as far as we can in the league. Go as far as we can in the Champions League. We've set the standard. We need to continue that as an absolute minimum and look to build on it. Now, there are going to be some fans out there that will be like, no, we want the Prem. We want the Prem. We want it now. These guys are clearly good enough. And look, I hear you, right? And I'm happy to be proven wrong. I'm not saying that Chelsea won't win the Premier League. I'm just trying to look at it from the above, looking down at the league right now. Liverpool have had an incredible transfer window. City are going for a rebuild. They've had an incredible transfer window, and so have we so far with who we've brought in. I don't think these players are ready to run away with a league title yet, and I'm again happy to be proven wrong. Not saying that we aren't going to do it, but a ball hasn't even been kicked yet. Let's just look at where teams are currently and what's projected to happen next season. Do I feel like we can get top 3? 100%. I feel like we can improve. I feel like Arsenal's position could be up for debate this season with the way that Chelsea play. If we continue to play how we finished in that Club World Cup, and that's like the standard. Obviously, I don't think we can do it for 38 games. We're not machines, right? We're not absolute robots. There are going to be slip-ups throughout the season. That's perfectly realistic and normal. But if we're setting that standard and we know how well that these guys can perform, then I do realistically think second, third is potential for us. I think that, and 4th is an absolute minimum for us based on what we've done so far and where these players are at. In terms of the Champions League, I mean, again, happy to be proven wrong, man. I'd love to win the Champions League for the 3rd time. That'd be absolutely incredible. But again, you've got to look at the other teams that are in it. Real Madrid's, Bayern Munich's, PSG's, City's, Liverpool's, Barcelona. Like, it's just a completely different kettle of fish, and these boys are going to be new to it. Again, I'm not saying that we can't go and win it. I'm just saying realistically, it should be a case of let's see how far we can go in the competition with this upcoming season, and we're going to know where we're at then. maybe not this season coming, maybe the season after, we'll have a better idea of where these players are at, how the injection of new players are doing, what Maresca's developed across the season, and then we set that target of Premier League is is the number one challenge, and the Champions League is up there as well. And we're going to strive to win those. Now, I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions down below, because I feel like this is very, very realistic to not put immediate pressure on Maresca, in his second season, to be like, right, win the Premier League. I don't know, it seems a bit too much for me. Go win the Champions League, because we've had an incredible season this season overall, but there has been good times and bad times, right? So I think this is really clever and really rational, really responsible for everyone at the club. They know where they're at. They know that they're building something, and the fact that they say that they can continue, they believe they can still build a dynasty to have serial winners. I absolutely love that, because Chelsea are the most successful English club since the turn of 2000s. 21 major trophies. We've overtaken City now. 21 major trophies. That's incredible, considering what we've been through, with the new ownership, and obviously that does continue from the Roman Abramovich era, etc. It's insane that we're still competing at that level, and we're still top. So we are serial winners. It's in our DNA. That's what we do. We win competitions, we win trophies. And these boys now have a taste of it. They've won 2 trophies this season. 2 trophies this season. They're going to be hungry for more, and I feel like they're more than capable to win anything they put their mind to. I just feel like expecting the Premier League and expecting the Champions League next season is just a bit too far for me, but I understand the ambition, and I am ambitious. Happy to be proven wrong. We'd love to know your thoughts and opinions down below on the expectations on Maresca for next season, of trying to show progress, securing Champions League, see how far we can go in that, and get as close to closing the gap between City and Liverpool and Arsenal next season. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Telefootball have reported breaking news. Chelsea players are in line to earn bonuses of around £350,000 each for winning the Club World Cup. They go on to report squad bonuses. It is unclear whether or not that will include Madueke. Now, let's just put our banter glasses on for a second. Imagine leaving the world champions before the final to go play for Arsenal, and then not only becoming world champions of a squad that you could have just waited a week for, so you would have been a part of that winning team, and got £350,000 in bonuses, but you've left before the final to go play for Arsenal. When you're on holiday, you're at Wireless. Fair enough. You do you, man. You do you. You're well entitled to a holiday this time of the year. That's not the sort of banter coming from that side. But imagine leaving the squad that went on to win the Club World Cup. And I'm not talking from the group stages or the round of 16. I'm talking a few days before the final, where it was literally a 50-50 chance of becoming a world champion, and potentially missing out on that wham bonus. These guys are not paid nowhere near that. That is a massive chunk of change, and again, that's filtered down from what the club have won from this competition. This is why it was so integral for the clubs that were in this, and why they were taking it so seriously, because the amount of money that they were going to generate from it. 30 million just for being in it. 30 million just for being in the competition, regardless of how far you went. Chelsea cleaned up over 100 million for winning the whole thing, and obviously the trophy, being the first in history to win this competition, the first club in footballing history to win the entire set of trophies possible. Wild. And you've left 2 days before the final to go play for Arsenal, and you're probably going to lose out on your bonus. Sucks to be you, unfortunately. But realistically, banter aside, because I just find that very, very funny. Banter aside, he will more than likely get his bonus, in my opinion, because he was part of that squad that went through from the group stages all the way through just before the final. Whether or not, you could argue whether or not he was integral to the wins of that, but then again, like, if you're looking at Jorgensen, for example, he might get his bonus just for being part of the squad, but he didn't really play an integral part of us winning it, right? So there are arguments throughout the squad. So I think the fairest thing would be to give him his bonus, as he was part of that. But at the same time, you're kind of like, well, you did leave, so maybe we'll just give you a small percentage of it, because it's like, well, you were part of the squad, but you did leave, so we're not going to give you the full amount. You can have a little bit. Or they could just be like, nah, you're not a problem anymore, which I think would be a bit harsh. It's almost like if you leave a job, whenever you leave the month after, normally if you're paid monthly, you will get everything that's owed to you in terms of holiday you didn't take, and any hours you worked, odd hours or whatever, past their previous cut-off date, you get given all that, right? And it's kind of like the sense of that. He's left this employer to go to another. We've gone on and won something. It depends what clauses he's got in the contract within bonuses or whatever. So I can see him getting it, but I just think it's really funny. Leaving a team that has been known to finish second the last few years to going to Arsenal a few days before a final, a team that has been known to finish second the last few years and not win anything, get to the last hurdle and fail, to then be a player that gets to the last hurdle, leaves, so essentially fails because he didn't just stick it out for an extra few days and become a world champion, potentially missing out on his bonus. Oh, mate, that cracks me up. That cracks me up. But I would love to know your thoughts and opinions down below regarding Noni Madueke and the bonuses, and also the bonuses for the players. That is a huge wedge of money for these players. I think it's thoroughly deserved, and it's not like we're putting ourselves out of pocket, because this is money that's been generated from this tournament. But I'm very curious to know your thoughts down below. Should Noni Madueke get his bonus, or should we not pay him a penny because he's left before the final? Let me know. The Telegraph have reported that Chelsea's victory over PSG in the final is expected to help the club secure a new front of shirt sponsor that could be worth £100 million more than the offers resisted last year. And Mike McGrath has reported that Chelsea are in talks with 7 to 10 big global companies over a long-term front of shirt sponsorship, which could be worth more than £60 million a year. This is huge. We haven't had a front of shirt sponsor for the longest time. Was it 2-3 years? Yes, we had a temporary one with Damac, and hey, big up Damac. They are returning Damac. They will go down forever in our history on our front of our shirt for winning the Conference League and completing the European set. Great for them. And obviously we had that partnership with the residencies over in Dubai as well. But long-term shirt sponsor, Chelsea have held off for the longest time, saying, we want at least 60 million a year. We feel like, Chelsea are a big brand in the world. Being a sponsor of Chelsea is essentially a privilege, because you're going to be seen by, a lot of eyeballs. We're in the highest competitions. We're doing this. But they were saying all this when we were finishing 12th and 6th, and we weren't in the biggest competitions. And now we're world champions, and we have that little gold badge on the front of our shirt for the next 4 years, which is monumental, by the way. 4 years we have that badge. 4 years. Oh, mate, we're world champions for 4 years. It still hasn't sunk in. It's huge. It is huge, because 60 million, now all these brands and sponsors are going to be chucking themselves at Chelsea because they are world champions, and they want their brand associated with the best of the best and associated with world champions. Now, if you're Air Jordan right now, you're probably kicking yourself. Are they probably one of those 7 to 10 coming and going, actually, we kind of said, you have to get minimum of a Champions League, and we're not really that fast. Now I bet they're like, can we have them negotiations again? We'll quite happily do like a kit deal or whatever. I don't know who else is. I'm assuming it's going to be like Riyadh Air, Qatar Air. Who else did we have in there? Obviously, Jordan was part of that then plans originally. I'm very curious to know who the 7 to 10 are and who Chelsea eventually end up with and how much it's going to be. Because if they can get more than 60 million a year, that's amazing. And the reason why this is so beneficial, and this isn't to be like a fan that's an accountant, right? It's not to be that side of things. I just find that it helps the club overall grow, because it's free money. It's genuinely free money. We cap ourselves with our match day revenue because of the size of our stadium, right? So we're capped at that compared to others like your Tottenhams, your Arsenals, your Cities, your United, your Liverpools, your Newcastles. They could generate a lot more match day revenue. Yes, we have shirt sales and everything else like that. We do have a massive brand. Chelsea as a brand is huge. It's global. We know that. But we've been missing out on potentially, say, 40 to 60 million pounds a year for the last 3 years. FFP have been sniffing around. We've had to sell the hotels, car parks, and the women's team and all these things. We've been spending loads of money. Obviously, we're making money as well with lots of player sales. It kind of balances that out. But we've managed to get through, and we're in a very healthy position now, especially winning the Club World Cup. That then goes on top of that incredibly healthy PSR situation. But then when you add 60 million a year on top of that, we are absolutely laughing. It's free money. So I'm super happy that now we are in a position, right, which no one could predict. No one could have predicted we'd be in this position, right? But the fact that we are means that we get the pick of the bunch. 7 to 10 big global companies chucking themselves at us, going, we want to put our brand on your shirt for the next X amount of years. It was going to be at least 4. It's going to be at least 4. They're going to want to have at least a 4-year deal to be underneath that World Champions badge as a minimum. As a minimum. Now, my maths is terrible. It's 240 million pounds potentially at the low end if they want something at 60 million a year, without all the extra bells and whistles that go on to that. So I want to ask you a question. How much do you feel that Chelsea could get away with asking for on a yearly basis for a sponsorship? And who would you like to see on the front of Chelsea's shirt? Would you like Emirates to come back? Would you like a Samsung rejuvenation? Because they were elite in my opinion. So were Fly Emirates as well. Would you like an airline? Riyadh Air, Qatar Air. There was loads of others. Tech companies that were kind of dotted around. Who would you like to see as a front of shirt sponsor for Chelsea, and how much do you think Chelsea could realistically get away with asking without taking the mick too much? I personally think that you could probably go 65, 70 million, and it's still like a bit more than what we wanted, but it's on the borderline of like, okay. But I'm very interested to know your thoughts down below. Matt Law has been quoted via the London Blue Pod. I'm told by people on the outside that if Aston Villa do go for Nicholas Jackson, it will immediately trigger a bid for Morgan Rogers from Chelsea. I think that Morgan Rogers is a perfect signing for Chelsea. A perfect signing in an Enzo Maresca system. The perfect rotation in that number 10 role. In my opinion, I'd love to know your thoughts down below regarding Morgan Rogers. The more I'm hearing Chelsea are admirers of Morgan Rogers, Chelsea are, thinking about making a bid, or Villa are open to the potential sale of Morgan Rogers, I feel like the writing is on the wall. And I feel like of all the signings that we need to make, whether it's a centre-back, which we'll speak about later on in the video, or a left back, which we'll speak about later on in the video, or another attacker, which keeps being said, an attacker and a defender is what Chelsea are going to go after, and then obviously we're going to focus on player sales because we have so many we need to get rid of. It makes so much sense to go for Morgan Rogers. There is no cover for Cole Palmer currently. You could play KDH there if you wanted to, but potentially, well, it's not a like for like, is it? I like KDH. I think he goes under the radar. I think he does his job very well, and I think he's important to have a player of his caliber in the squad to come on and do a job. Right? I think he does get overlooked. He gets a lot of abuse sometimes from the Chelsea fans. I think he's been very good for us so far. Comes on, does his job well, and that's it. He knows his place. He works hard. He does his part for the team. But he isn't a Cole Palmer replacement. Let's be real. And currently, we're looking to sell Nkunku and João Felix, who are players who can play in that 10. Now, arguably, you could put Enzo Fernandez in the 10, but he kind of, pushes forward in possession to become a second 10, right, in more advanced areas. You could say Andre Santos, you could potentially do that. But is that their most comfortable positions? Is that their most frightening positions? I don't really know or think so. They're more box-to-box midfielders, right? Now, yes, they provide assists, they provide goals, and they're an integral part to Enzo Maresca's system, but there's no like for Palmer. Now, of course, Palmer plays as many minutes as possible. If he's fit and ready, he plays. He's our best player. He's an unbelievable player. But you sign someone like Morgan Rogers, it gives you versatility. On the right, on the left, as a 10. If Cole Palmer's got a bit of a knock, you can put Morgan Rogers in there. If, there's availability on the left or right for whatever reason, Morgan Rogers can play there. Not his strongest position, but he's capable of doing it. He's very technical. He's got an eye for goal. He's got a good footballing IQ, clinical in the final third in terms of decision making. Very technical player. I think he's perfect. The interesting thing about this is the whole if Aston Villa go for Jackson. Now, Jackson's future is written on the wall, right? We know this. It looks like Chelsea are going to offload him this summer if the right offer comes in. Villa are interested. Italian clubs are interested. United are interested. Chelsea said, yeah, he's worth 100 million. We know they're not going to take that for all. They would take it, but they're not going to demand that from clubs. The word on the street, through the grapevine, whatever this phrase is that 60 million will be enough to pry Jackson away from Chelsea. So, Unai Emery, big fan of Jackson, gave him his debut at Villarreal, knows how to utilise him on that left-hand side. I think that could be a potential. It definitely could be a potential. I then ask questions about Ollie Watkins. Is he going to stay at Villa? Is he on the move? Do they just want to strengthen that position and get someone like Jackson, who Unai Emery knows very well? Who knows? That's the bit where I'm like, are we waiting on someone to come in and do this exchange? Where Villa go, yeah, we want Jackson. Cool, how much for Rodgers? We want to buy him. It's separate deals, but it's basically one for the other. Or do we go after Morgan Rogers anyway? Because Madueke has been sold, and we've got this whole one-in, one-out system, which makes sense right now because we're only bringing in improvements to the current squad we've got, rather than just buying en masse and selling en masse. We've really cut that down this summer and just bought key improvements in key areas. So I think Morgan Rogers will be a massive benefit and a big, big plus for Chelsea. Personally, I'd love to know your thoughts regarding Morgan Rogers to Chelsea, because I'm just curious to have a conversation. Some people like him, some people aren't a fan, and that's fair. I like having conversations with you guys. But it does depend on, what club's going to come in for Jackson. Is it going to be United for 60 million? Is it going to be an Italian club who can't quite afford him? Is it going to be some sort of deal struck there? I don't know. I could personally see Jackson going this summer, which does free up a space and funds. And I could personally see Chelsea go for Morgan Rogers regardless. We could just be trying to be smart and hold off as long as we can to see who actually comes in for what money for Jackson. Because Chelsea are not in no rush to sell him. They've said this. They'll keep him. They see potential. He can, stay there and improve. But like I said in yesterday's video, it's a long day at the office for him to claw his way back into that Chelsea 11, in my opinion, with João Pedro and Delap already outperforming and being instant impact signings. It puts things in perspective. So, very curious to know your thoughts on this whole situation. Do you think that Unai Emery is going to come in and try and get Jackson? Do you think Jackson's going to go to a different club like United or a Newcastle or go abroad to an Italian club? Or do you think Chelsea are going to keep him? Is that the gateway for us going in for Morgan Rogers, or are Chelsea just going to go in for him regardless? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Fabrizio Romano was quoted on DAZN Football saying, "One more centre-back is also a concrete possibility being discussed internally at Chelsea. I think they will be busy again." And Ben Jacobs has reported that Chelsea have held fresh talks for Jorrel Hato. Ajax are quoting £60 million, but suitors hoping for closer to £40 million. This is the news that I've been waiting for. This is the news that a lot of you guys have been waiting for. There were rumours, there were talks around Jorrel Hato weeks ago at the start, end of the Club World Cup, and it went completely silent. Completely silent. Other clubs are also interested. Jorrel Hato is wanted by a lot of clubs across Europe. Now the talks are back. And it doesn't look like it's just talks. Yes, Chelsea have had fresh talks, but it's more of an intent of, okay, cool, Ajax, we want your player. How much? And the Ajax have said 60 million. That's what we'd ideally want. Chelsea we were kind of hoping for 40, but, So I can genuinely see negotiations starting to take place within the next coming days, weeks, or whatever. And that's just my opinion. I'd love to know your thoughts. I think Jorrel Hato would be an incredible signing. An incredible signing to solidify our back line. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be starting every week, because he's not going to get in over Cucurella. Cucurella is the best left back in the world, in my opinion, and no one can change my mind. He is fantastic. However, that guy plays so many minutes of football, we are running a massive risk of him getting injured or when he's suspended, that we have a gaping hole on the left-hand side. Because currently, the backups to Cucurella are Josh Ashimpong, who does a very good job. Love him as a player. He can play left back, centre back, right back, DM to an outstanding level. But I prefer to play him in his natural positions of centre back or right back or in that DM role. I prefer that. I don't want him as a left back. The other option is Malo Gusto at left back or Reece James at left back. And if I'm being honest, I prefer both of those guys on the right-hand side in their natural positions, because they're incredible players when they're played to their potential on that right-hand side. Reece James has been experimented in midfield. We've seen that work very well in the PSG game, for example. And Gusto is an outstanding right-back when he's going up and down that wing and also like defending and attacking, just bombing up and down. He's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Not so good at the inverting role and all that type of, that type of stuff. He's not great at. But those are our current options. And going into next season, we've now got cover for Caicedo and Enzo, because last season we relied heavily on those with barely any support, because Lavia couldn't stay fit and there was no real rotation there. You've got KDH that can come in and do a job, of course, but again, there's a dip off in quality. Now we've got the likes of Asugo, Lavia and Andre Santos. I feel a lot more confident and comfortable that we've got a bulk of rotation in that position. Centre backs, we've got like 4 or 5. Cool. Right backs, we've got enough rotation there. We've got 3 there. Left back, it's just Cucurella. And Jorrel Hato can play central and he can play left. He's a technically gifted left back, 19 years old, wanted by a lot of European clubs. He's got international experience playing for the Netherlands. He's a fantastic player. Good defensive IQ, can defend out wide, can defend centrally. So he can be the centre-back on the left-hand side in an inverted system, if needed. Or he could be the player that inverts or goes high and wide on that left, like Cucurella does. I think it would be the perfect like for like. Now, of course, he's a lot younger. He's 19 years old. He doesn't have Premier League experience. He would need to adapt to that. Of course he would. But I think it would be a fantastic signing for Chelsea. I really, really want Jorrel Hato. Whether that's greedy, whether that's not, I don't know. But I would love to see him in a Chelsea shirt. £60 million for me is a bit steep. But at the same time, I feel like Ajax are just trying to get as much money as they can. Because if a Premier League club comes in, you want to get as much, secure the bag. The Premier League it's very clear the Premier League earn the most money, so we have the most money to spend compared to these other leagues in Europe and across the world, which is just the game's the game, right? Now Chelsea are looking for hoping for closer to 40 million. I don't see us getting him for 40 million pounds. Realistically, I could see a 50 million pound deal with some add-ons. In an ideal world, I think that's meeting in the middle. Have some add-ons for him. Is a young prospect. I think he'll get a lot of minutes across the season because we're competing across all fronts. FA Cup, League Cup, Champions League, Premier League. There's a lot of competitions. There's a lot of minutes to be played. Cucurella can't play every single game. We can try, but we're going to burn him out eventually. That guy hasn't stopped since under Pochettino all the way through that season. Then the Euros. Then all of this season. Then the Club World Cup. He needs a break. So I would absolutely love Chelsea to sign Jorrel Hato. I think he would be an incredible addition to Chelsea. I mean, even at 60 million, if it comes to it and it's push versus put, and it's like 60 million or nothing, pay them. Pay them, because he will repay us in years to come, for sure. Incredible talent. Technically gifted, good defensive IQ, good on the ball, good aerial. Just a good all-round defender. There's a reason why a lot of European clubs are after him. And there's a reason why Ajax are wanting £60 million for him, because they know how good he is. Anyone that comes from Ajax, 9 times out of 10, is a fantastic player. Just look through history. They have got some incredible academies and growthing, systems in play that kind of harness on players' potentials and rise them to the top. They're fantastic. Tried and tested throughout time. So I would love to see Chelsea go and sign a Jorrel Hato, hopefully for around £50 million. I think that would be nice. If we could get him for 40, amazing. But I just don't see it happening realistically. But I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions down below regarding Jorrel Hato. Do you think he's a good idea to sign? Do you think he's a good player to sign? Do you think he makes sense in a Maresca system? Or should we focus our attention on someone completely different? The other centre-backs in the other picture, you've got the likes of Madueke, Morello. Obviously, Jorrel Hato is in that as well. Branthwaite. Do you think that Chelsea should go for one of those targets over someone like Jorrel Hato who can play central and left? Or do we go specifically for centre-back and just hope that Cucurella doesn't get injured? And that's all the latest Chelsea news. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on everything that's been reported down below in the comment section. I love having a conversation with you guys. And if you have watched this video all the way to the end, firstly, you're a real one, and I mean that. You're a real one. But secondly, there'll be a thumbnail appears on the screen. So if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content, make sure you click that thumbnail because you'll enjoy that video too.